Hey, Andy Lockwood here with Lockwood College Consulting and this morning's edition of College Coffee Talk. Or Coffee Talk if you don't live in Long Island like I do. So, had a rough conversation yesterday. Rough in the sense of there's bigger problems in the world, but in the sense of not being able to help someone who I really could have helped had we spoken 12 months ago or even 8 or 9 months ago. So here's the deal. I have this client out in the West Coast. Not going to reveal anything more other than his child got into some really, really great schools. One of which bills itself as the Ivy of the South, and that college let the child in and gave zero in terms of financial aid. Other colleges that compete with that school, and are definitely not quite as hard to get into, offered a lot of money. But of course, either it's Murphy's Law or I don't know what the phenomenon. I should come up with some name for it. What happened is the kid decided that she wants to go to the top choice college, the one that didn't give any money. A couple of things that we talked about, and I want to give you some tips on how to avoid this situation, which is going to fall into the category of easier said than done, but I feel like it's very, very important to talk about. So what we do every episode of College Talk Tuesday, which is once a week, Tuesdays at 11:30, and also each other morning, Monday through Friday, on College Coffee Talk, is talk about your questions and questions that Pearl and I have received, not only recently, but also over the last couple of years. Kind of an experiment till we run out of questions, and there doesn't seem to be any end in sight. So if you have any questions, pop them right here in the comments, and please like, comment, and share. Share this with anyone you think could benefit from this. So here, a couple comments that I wanted to make about this situation. First of all, had I talked to this client a year ago, had he retained us back then, we would have been able to make him eligible for at least 25, if not close to 50% off at the top college that his daughter really wants to go to. Because in his particular situation, and everyone is different, but he has a combination that we usually look for in terms of helping people improve their eligibility for need-based aid, which is relatively modest income but high assets. And in financial aid, it's not necessarily how much you have saved, it's where you have it saved. So if you can shift money out of a place that penalizes you severely and move it to a place that penalizes you less, or maybe not at all, because there are at least 4 exemptions, 4 loopholes, legal and ethical loopholes in the financial aid formulas, then you might be able to avail yourself of those techniques and therefore qualify for huge tuition discounts. So that's the first thing. He knew it, I knew it. We didn't really talk about it too much because it wasn't productive to Monday morning quarterback, what shoulda, coulda, woulda. The second thing is that I want to advise you, if you're watching this and you have a junior, class 2018 or class 2019 kid, the earlier you start looking at this, even if you're not ready, even if you're not emotionally ready, the college train is a-coming. It's coming into the station and it pulls out. It doesn't care whether you are emotionally ready or not. So whether or not you contact us, of course you can, but in one way, shape, or form, take some action, implement some of this advice that you're getting from me or anybody else. Okay, the second thing is my client and I talked about, well, is it really worth paying up for this really prestigious college that has a much harder admissions rate? And my client is a retired professional, and he said, I was talking to a bunch of my colleagues, who I used to work with, and a lot of them went to just regular schools, but they went to outstanding grad schools. So doesn't it make sense for my daughter to go to a quote-unquote lesser college and then ultimately, probably get a higher GPA and do better potentially on the LSAT or the MCAT or whatever she ends up taking, and then have an easier time getting into a top grad school? Because it looked pretty certain that at least in the parents, in the dad's eyes and in my eyes, that she was going to end up in grad school. And I said, yeah, exactly. Really, again, it matters where you finish, not where you start. And so much of grad school admissions is predicated on your GPA. You may actually be better off going to a school where you're a big fish in a small pond. That's probably the better move if you're playing the long game, not the short game. again, the problem is that his daughter is so psyched to get into this school. She's wearing the sweatshirt all around her high school. She's got all sorts of other paraphernalia. She's already drunk the Kool-Aid. So it's an emotional thing that's getting in the way of a logical decision or logical discussion. So I'm going to try to talk to her. I'm just going to reiterate a lot of the arguments that her dad has probably made to her that she didn't listen to, because that's dad. I'm a stranger, so so maybe she'll listen to me because I'm across the country and I'm not her father. But my tip for you is this is all about setting expectations. So if my client did make a mistake at one point, and I don't actually consider what he did to be a mistake, because there's other factors I'm not going to get into here in the interest of time, but what he had done in the beginning was say, listen, you work your butt off and you get in, I'll send you anywhere that you get in, that's great. Anywhere that you deserve to go. Now he's kind of regretting saying that because he's never paid retail for anything. That was his actual quote. And it's looking like, even though we're trying to appeal it, it's looking like he's going to end up paying retail there. But if you tell your kids, sooner rather than later, that the decision on where to go to college is not their decision. It is a family decision. So I'll tell you what happens in our family. We have 4 kids. We've never said anything like, you work your butt off, we'll send you anywhere you want to go. We only give messages like, work your butt off and you will get into great colleges, and then we will help you choose the best colleges for you and the family. That's really part of it. Sometimes kids give a little bit of blowback when they get into a top school and the parents are trying to talk them out of it and instead go to a slightly easier school to get into. And then the kids will say something like, well, I didn't work this hard in high school to go there. I don't want to go to school with a bunch of dummies, that type of thing. And my response is usually along the lines of, look, the reason that they are giving you so much money and rolling out the red carpet to bribe you to come is because you kicked butt in high school. That is your reward. And if you, again, want to consider the long game, it might actually be a lot better for you to go to the lesser, I use that term loosely, lesser college. That's really the argument. But it all comes down to setting expectations. I warned you, this is easier said than done. But if you try to have these conversations earlier and try to remove, you can't eliminate it entirely, but try to remove a chunk of the emotional aspects of college selection. I know it's impossible to totally, again, I know. But if you try to cut down at least on that, then I think you'll be able to make better decisions, not only for your kid, but for the entire family. So, if you like this little post, this little edition of College Coffee Talk, please give me a little thumbs up thingy and please drop me a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you're going through anything like this at all. Let me know if you have any questions related to this. And I don't have a magic bullet. I can't convince everyone to go to schools that parents want them to go to, but I can try to help you brainstorm ways to do that. So thanks a lot for watching. I will speak to you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.